2015 was an important year for me. It was my first big step into the self-help world and exposed me to a variety of things. It was thanks in part to a network marketing company that I was part of that encouraged me to invest in yourself. And that is exactly what I did. I bought up a variety of self-help books and I spent a lot of time learning the various concepts and beliefs that the self-help movement has. I wouldn't say I was completely brainwashed, but I was definitely looking through some rose-tinted shades at the time.
Oh yeah, here comes.
I was hoping that my business would kick off the ground, and I also delved into writing for the first time as well, hoping that I would create a blog that would be incredibly successful and I could use that as a means of selling various network marketing products to people.
Now you're wrong.
And clearly, that did not happen. But from that experience alone, I gained a lot of knowledge and understanding about the industry. And I also learned some particular quirks about it too. One of those quirks was the people's obsession with positivity and their blatant disregard for negativity. For me, I was always a mixed bag when it came to that sort of stuff. I believed that in order to attract the things that you want in life, that you have to work for that sort of stuff. So the idea of manifesting something or like something will just be automatically given to you was absolute for me. However, there's a lot of people that do believe in that sort of thing, and they also shun just negativity in general and want to purge it from their system. So today I want to be asking a simple question. What is up with self-help hating on negativity? To better understand why people just don't like negativity all that much, it helps to understand why people love positivity so much to begin with. Over the past several decades now, positive thinking has been steadily the default to becoming rich and successful in anything. It is the go-to thing that self-help gurus really push down and just emphasize. If you're just a very negative person, you're not going to have the business savvy or the hope in order to like just grow a business or grow in any way possible.
Just stop. You're bumming everybody out.
However, it is to the point that people think we have a natural affiliation to being positive-minded and always optimistic. But the reality to that assumption is that we're really not. Science has proven that we have a naturally negative-minded mindset. It's something that is just inherent in us, and it's just part of us. But that fact obviously shatters the current self-help philosophy of everything has to be positive-minded and positivity is great and fantastic and is incredibly helpful. And so what has happened over the past several decades is that key figures have perpetuated this idea that we're not negative-minded. In fact, we're actually very positive people, and we need positivity in order to thrive in today's society. And we used positivity as a tool for several decades and centuries and eons. And this is just part of us, and we absolutely need it. One of the common threads that has perpetuated this idea is through self-help books, incredibly popular self-help books. It's to the point that these books, I can just mention the titles and people will know exactly what they are because someone at some point has recommended this book to them. The very first book that has really pushed this positive-minded agenda is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The second book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The third was Unleash the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And the fourth iteration, which is the one that I am most familiar with, is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, a book that is so popular that this day there are even more workbooks that are being made surrounding this book, along with a full-length film that was released a year after that book was published.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
A lot of these books focus on similar talking points, though have changed a little to adjust for their current time periods when they were published. But at the end of the day, they were all focused on one clear thing. You have to have a very positive mindset, and that is the most crucial part of your success. And so you can understand why we have this sort of behavior around positivity and why negativity is looked down upon so much. Because very important people have said positive minded stuff is very important and crucial to your success, and people have just simply bought into all of that. Byrne paints positivity as a necessary part of our mindset, and that negativity has to simply be gone from our mindset entirely. That much is implied in the various teachings that she passes down in her book, as well as all the various other side products that feed into this one particular book that was published over almost 2 decades ago. I remember one particular example that she used where she talked about a person's eyesight and how they wanted to manifest a perfect eyesight because they had glasses and they were tired of wearing glasses. So what that person simply did was they stopped wearing glasses and just manifested that they had perfect eyesight, and that they just suddenly got better eyesight as a result of this positive-minded process. It's very bold to claim that people have done this sort of thing on a regular basis, and this just happens all over the place. But when I look at that phenomenon, all I ask myself is, you know that contacts exist, right? And there is a very easy solution to not having to wear glasses, and that's simply just get some contacts. That's it. Like, tired of wearing glasses? Get some contacts. That's all you really need. The overall messaging plays out similar to that in not just eyesight, but in anything in life. And Byrne convinces people by using a lot of mysticism in that messaging, talking about the universe as this spiritual entity that is all powerful and will give everything that you want in life, and all that you have to do is simply ask for it. And how you ask for it is simply just using your mindset to send out frequencies out into the universe and hope that those frequencies come back to you and you can manifest whatever it is that you want in your life.
Come on, guys! We could use whales!
All in all, it's just an absolute just garbage pile of advice for someone who's looking to improve themselves and change their situation for the better. Garbage as it is, the overall concept worked, clearly, because a lot of people love this book, and they talk about this all the time. In my network marketing circle when I was there, this was one of the first books that was recommended to me, and it was something that I wanted for a while until I realized, like, this is all just hogwash. And it all is hogwash because after the book was published, scientists went back and said, hey, Byrne actually just cherry-picked a lot of advice from the various studies that we've conducted on the matter, and she completely misrepresented everything that we were talking about in the first place.
Liar!
Unfortunately, the damage was already done at that point, and a lot of people are clearly convinced that this particular version of the law of attraction is the superior model and is the model to be using in order to manifest anything in your life and to grow. And from that particular mindset, it makes sense why a lot of people think negativity is just really bad and not helpful for you. However, with all of that said, that is just an extreme point of view. And for any kind of rational mind, we obviously know these people are absolutely crazy and are indulging in more cult-like behavior than someone that is rationally thinking about positivity and negativity.
One of us! One of us!
For anyone that is more rationally minded, we still have to deal with the fact that negative emotions are just really bad, that they're not very helpful for us, and in certain cases. And it's very easy to get into that sort of mindset where you would want to be chasing after more positive experiences and think that negativity doesn't really have a place at all in your life. For a lot of us, we can have this sort of disdain for negativity in different kinds of circumstances. For one, maybe we already have someone who is just a negative-minded person in our lives, and we don't really like being around them. And that totally makes sense. There's a lot of research that suggests that if you're just around someone who's just sapping your energy, you don't really want to be around them, and you don't like being around them.
Man, just stop. You're bumming everybody out.
On top of that, there's of course just the negative emotions that we experience from within ourselves, and those emotions can be very difficult to process, and can lead to just wanting to be more positive minded, and not necessarily going into the extreme side, but dancing around a little bit with some of those ideas, and and moving away from just negativity as a sort of tool or resource for ourselves. A good example of this is just my generation, the millennials. Because a lot of us got participation prizes growing up at events, we never really learned how to deal with emotions that come from, like, losing.
Get nothing! You lose!
At something, or not performing as well. I know for myself, I felt more ashamed and embarrassed about the grades that I got at school, and so I didn't talk to my parents about it, or I was very vague about my overall performance, where I was saying, like, I just got some average grades, I'll try and work on them, and just never did, and never had any other discussion beyond that. So those kinds of experiences can lead to us just bottling our emotions, never really processing them, and just having this natural disdain for negativity, or having various defense mechanisms in place to just filter negative emotions in a very unhealthy way. And so we can just have this natural affiliation where negativity is not all that helpful, and we can kind of see the appeal to just being positive minded and being happy, and to seek positive experiences, and to really go down that particular pathway, while not necessarily being the super cultish manifest everything that you could possibly want in your life and all of that nonsense. So that ultimately answers the question. On the extreme side, there are self-help gurus who are really pushing a very positive-minded agenda, and that is what is most important. Also, at the same time, for any rational person, negativity is bad for you because of the various beliefs that we've had, and just negative experiences that we've experienced that just make us get turned off by negativity and not want to be dealing with it at all. And so it kind of makes sense why the self-help industry just really focuses on just the positivity. But negativity is still a very necessary thing, and is very healthy for us to have. Again, we're naturally negative-minded people. That is just our survival instincts, and it's something that's ingrained in us and simply can't be removed. And because of that fact, I think that it's a very necessary thing. Now, obviously, I'm not saying we need to be falling in love with negativity and to be seeking it out at every single opportunity of our lives. No, like, that's just dumb. But what isn't dumb is to be at least accepting of negativity, acknowledge that it exists, and to change our relationship with negativity in the first place.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me.
To think a little outside of the positivity box that we keep ourselves in, and expand our minds. And to do that is a matter of looking at things where negativity is necessary or even helpful in certain cases. One example is our emotions of doubt, which lead us to hesitate on certain things, whether it's a key decision or just something kind of frivolous. Having some doubt is incredibly helpful in these kinds of circumstances, because it allows us to do a double take on certain decisions. It actually gets us to think. But the thing about doubt and hesitation is negativity in general has, like, these kinds of defense mechanisms put in place. When it comes to anger or gloominess or sadness, they have these kinds of attributes associated to them if you are willing to look for them. It almost sounds like we're naturally negative-minded people, and we've used these emotions for eons to survive. And so breaking out of that cycle can just be boiled down to simply being more negative, but not to the point that we're harming our growth and sabotaging ourselves and people's moods and all that. Just I consider myself an optimist in the more realistic sense, where I have these kinds of negative traits built into myself. And I was able to hone these kinds of things and break out of that always positive-minded cycle that I had, that I was sort of building for myself earlier on in my network marketing career. And I was able to break out of that by doing 3 very specific things. The first was listening to my inner voice. The second was to be keeping myself open to feedback, whether it was from myself or from other people around me, and also to be embracing mediocrity as a way to just finalize everything. When it comes to listening to your inner voice, I suggest that the strategy is to be used to overcome excuses or procrastination. And oftentimes being too positive makes us sound more like an idiot. And we can absolutely use that sort of thing to just call ourselves out and telling ourselves, hey, you're being a moron. Like, let's sort out a more reasonable solution to these kinds of problems. One example is I've created multiple YouTube channels over the years. This is obviously not my very first attempt at making a YouTube channel and being consistent. However, when I started getting into video creation for the very first time, I thought of it as something very, very easy to do, and I basically just rushed ahead and not really thought much about putting care and consideration into my videos. They basically were just like the last video that I just created, where I just edited a bunch of stuff and I didn't throw in any of my usual things that I had been doing for the previous videos. Which, again, I feel pretty sorry for that, but at the same time, I also really wanted to be getting that video out. And point is that calling myself out about that sort of stuff and preparing myself and making some adjustments is something that I did and is very helpful. When it comes to keeping yourself open to feedback, I know obviously a lot of people say like, oh yeah, I'm totally open to feedback, and then they suddenly hear some feedback and they feel really bad, or like they tried to like defend themselves and all of that stuff. And it's like, just don't do that. Just don't do that. If you're that kind of person, work on yourself some more and actually be open to feedback and not just saying it out loud. Be genuine, be humble about it, and yeah, just be open to feedback. And when it comes to embracing mediocrity, what I mean by that is simply not having grandiose visions of yourself. Keeping yourself very tame when it comes to just titles and how you describe yourself to other people and simply how you view yourself. Ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is that negativity is really not that bad. However, when you have an industry that is just so fixated on positivity, it kind of makes sense why a lot of people think that negativity is just this inherent flaw, and that whenever someone has any kind of doubt or hesitation or is just negative thinking, they are broken, and that the industry like absolutely needs to like work on them, and it's your duty to be telling those people that they need to be reading like particular books, or that they need to work on their mindset and like grow yourself and like treat yourself to like something nice or whatever, to consume various goods and services and all of that fun stuff. The reality is that negativity is not always a hindrance. It certainly can be if you're in a very dark place and you're not really going anywhere. But if you're focused on growing yourself and improving yourself and trying to improve your situation and try to like get out of the various problems that you have, then negativity can still be very helpful in those kinds of circumstances. they can be a very harsh mentor and a guiding hand at the same time. And that, I think, is way more important and is very helpful in kind of curbing your expectations, especially if you're someone that just loves positivity and is kind of just drinking that Kool-Aid. But what do I know? I'm just a random person on the internet. That is all I have for my video. Don't forget to go and leave a like on this video if you've enjoyed it. And don't forget, again, to subscribe. And I will see you all next time.